Sports stories from the 419 in Northwest Ohio, brought to you by a voice you know. It's time to go around the area and around the Hearn.
Hello there. It's been a minute since I've been able to do this show. Baseball and Mother Nature and, having a 4-year-old kind of got in the way. But a jam-packed episode today, talking a lot about state baseball. 4 of the teams are representing our area in action this weekend. Excited to be able to go to Akron and to call these games starting tomorrow. Russia in Minster kicking off the coverage in Division 7. Should be an absolute banger of a game. It was the first time these teams played, and they've gotten even better since that point. Mike West and Kevin Phlipot, the respective head coaches of the Minster Wildcats and the Russia Raiders, both on the show today, as well as Division 5 Representative Coldwater and Cory Klenke. And in Division 3's Wapak and Redskins and Jason Brandt. He might be a 937 kid at heart, but he is 419 as far as everything else goes. And he has got a terrific team. All 4 coaches were nice enough to spend some time and talk about what could happen this weekend in Akron. Thankfully, none of them play in Canton. But shout out to Fairview, also representing Northwest Ohio. They are going to play in a game, by the way. You can hear my buddy Kevin Peel call on Saturday, and hopefully the great Keith Brown on Sunday on NWO Sports. Be sure to check that out. But a lot of things with baseball coming up in a bit. We start, though, with a lot of sad news and the unfortunateness that 91-year-old Dick Kortokrax, the legendary all-time winningest coach in OHSA history, Fort Jennings, Audubon, and Kalida, passed away this last week peacefully with his family. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to throw out the platitudes that everyone else has of, I knew him, whatever. But one of my favorite things that I've ever gotten to do, and again, it was kind of a sad thing, was Coach Kortokrax's retirement press conference, because the man could orate. He was asked 3 questions, and he spent 53 minutes answering those questions. But my favorite part of the whole thing is that at the end of that, he looks at Jim Naveau, the writer for Lima News, and he says, I know that was a lot of information. I'll be honest with you, I don't remember what your question was, but I really hope that the answer was in there somewhere. And it was one of the most hilarious things to just look around the room. I didn't know when I started covering Kalida basketball a decade or however long ago that Coach Kortokrax was an old school soul of, he gave out stats one time. That was the end of the season. Nobody bothered to tell me this when I was covering Kalida, so I had to be the fool that asked him and asked his son Richard and was told, no, Dad doesn't do that. I felt like a fool. But he will definitely be missed in Putnam County, and his impact so greatly around the area. I've seen him a handful of times. One of the last times that state basketball was in Columbus, he was pretty much given a free pass to just kind of hang out. And he was just up walking around the concourse, walking up and down the stairs as everybody was prepping in between different games. And there was a 2-hour changeover. And I just thought that is the massive amount of respect for that man, that he's kind of just able to come and go freely. And I know there's a lot of information out there about him. He's just a fascinating individual. The book about him, I just love that he just, at the end of the day, he might have been abrasive to some people. It might have been whatever. But he was always Dick Kortokrax and was unapologetic about that. And that's kind of how I've always hoped to be when I'm 80 or 90, to have done a lot of stuff and helped a lot of people and enjoyed teaching and enjoyed coaching through his entire life. And just an absolutely tremendous man. So my heart goes out to the Kortokrax family and everybody who was fortunate to have met Dick. Other guys who have been around for a while in the coaching game, Jim Wharton, the head coach at Crestview for the baseball program, 631 wins and 20 NWC titles, announced he is stepping down after 42 years. That is going to be interesting to see kind of what happens there. I have a friend who may be getting a job as an administrator at Crestview, who I said should be the next head coach. I'm not going to put him on blast because I already got in trouble for this once. but I would like to see it be him. State track results. This is going to take a minute to get to. I tried to find a way to do this, but we are so blessed with so much great talent in this area. Inevitably, I will miss someone as I was cross-eyed from reading the results for about an hour and a half. So for that, I apologize, but I'm so proud to read so many things that happened this weekend. The Division III Title won on the girls' side by Coldwater. Big shout out to them. Columbus Grove finished 3rd, Fort Loramie 7th, Fort Recovery 8th. Minster 9th, St. Henry 11th, Kalida 19th. Boys side, Marion Local 6th, St. Henry 4th. Division 2 had Ottawa Glandorf finishing at 12th. Boys at D2 had Bluffton 5th, Van Wert 18, and OG 26. And I talked about a lot of this kid during basketball season. Garrett Trentman from Audubon had that just horrific injury. He was able to come back after he missed the last half of basketball season. 300-meter hurdles, he finished 5th in the state, and I am sure that my dude Jackson Sellhorse probably got some absolutely tremendous pictures of the whole thing. Ottawa Glandorf girls, Liv Grotehouse. Penguins can't fly, but she can. 5th in the 200-meter dash, 4th in the 100-meter. These are done a little bit differently. They're not necessarily by event. They're kind of done by team because it was easier for me to read that way. Anna Buttlemeyer finished 14th in the 3,200-meter run, 9th in the 1,600 meters for the Titans. 4x200-meter relay finished 5th. 4x400 finished 9th. 4x800 finished 10th. Boys side, Ty Rosengarten, 3,200-meter run finished 10th. I'm told that it was a very fast set of races down there. I heard Mark Altstetter, who does tremendous work for Live News, opine about all of this and said it was a really, really fast set of events this year for everybody. Boys finished 4th in the 4x800-meter relay. Alex Schrader made it into the finals of the pole vault, but did not connect on a successful clearance in the finals. Van Wert boys finished 12th in the 4x800. Bluffton, I'm going to be here a second. Maylee Miller, 17th in the girls' 100-meter hurdles in the prelims. Unfortunately, her time did not carry over to make the finals. Elena Mueller, 9th in the pole vault. Griffin Stackhouse, 6th in the 100-meter dash. He went 3rd in the 200, 2nd in the 400. So a shout out to him. Cade Wright, 3rd in the 400. Noah Brickner, 17th in the boys' high jump. Tate Gieske, 15th in that same event. But I love the story that Mark told on the radio. Merrick Donaldson. Kid is a tremendous basketball player. Apparently, he had never ran track before. Mark goes on to tell the story that he finished first in the boys' 800-meter run, which is a highly competitive event. And having never run track, he went from to a state champion. Loved his time doing it. Said it was a tremendously competitive run in a race, and he came away. And a big shout out to him because I can't imagine that's an easy thing to do. Kalida's 4x400 relay team finished 3rd at the state tournament. Lauren Loddick finished 8th in the 400-meter dash. A team comprised of the same young lady finished 8th in the 4x800 team relay. Malia Romez finished 13th in the high jump. Mia Burgai finished 7th in the shot put and in the discus. Miller City's Andrea Fowl finished 4th in the D3 state 3,200-meter run. Lipsick's Morgan Apple, 4th in the 100 hurdles. Lincoln View, 13th as a team in the 4x800 relay on the girls' side. Boys' side had Cody Ricker finishing 4th in the boys' 300-meter hurdles. Spencerville sophomore Briley Cook finished 6th in the state in the shot put. And then there's Columbus Grove. Again, we're going to be here for a second. 4x200 and 4x100 relay teams are state runner-ups. Devaney Pringle, the junior, finished 5th in the 800-meter run finals. Bree Clausen was 5th in the 100-meter hurdles, and then 9th in the 300-meter hurdles. Kendall Paulty, 8th in the 300-meter hurdles. Allison Thompson, 8th in the 200-meter dash. The 4x800 relay team finished 14th. Lord Ockmoody bookmarks a fantastic athletic career. You got to believe one of the best athletes in Grove history with a 5th in the long jump, 7th in the pole vault. Boys side, Levi Bryan finishes 12th in the boys' 1,600-meter run. Trevon Baxter finished 7th in the pole vault. Grant Eversole 11th in the long jump. maybe the most unique thing of what happened this weekend, Megan Hurston from Delphos Jefferson, she finished 5th in the girls' seated 100-meter dash. She also went 4th in the 400 meters, 3 in the 800 meters, and 5th in the seated shot put. Jefferson's only representative, but heck of a run for her during those events. Really neat to see how that happened and how the community put that out. The Delphos Herald had a really neat story about Megan that I hope you're able to check out. Claire Berkey finished 5th in the 500 in the 100-meter dash, 7th in the 200-meter for the Coldwater girls. She's a freshman. And then there was Izzy Zahn. The senior blew away the field on the 400-meter dash by almost 3 seconds, broke the D3 state record, also won the 200-meter dash in state record time, and finished just .01 off the Owen Stadium record. She wasn't even done there. Then she got first in the long jump. Sophomore Audrey Allig finished second in the 800-meter run. Her freshman teammate, Lana Kaiser, finished 13th. 4x100 relay finished 5th. They went first in the 4x400, 5th in the 4x800. Ava Schmidtmeyer was 5th in the pole vault. And then Aiden Rose was 15th in the 100-meter hurdles in the prelims and didn't qualify for the finals. Ava Reisner from Fort Recovery, 1st in the 100-meter dash. She also finished 3rd in the 400-meter dash. Ariel Heitkamp from Fort Loramie, 9th in the 100-meter hurdles. 7th in the 300. Relay team in the 4x100 finished 4th. 4x200, they went 3rd. 6th in the 4x400. 4th in the 4x8. Janelle Siegel finished 3rd in the high jump. Julian Gaynor, 13th in shot put. Madison Snyder, same spot in discus. Elijah Heitkamp for the Fort Loramie boys. 300-meter hurdles for him. He finished 3rd. 110-meter finished 8th. And also finished 9th in the 4x200-meter relay and 3rd in the 4x400. Versailles Ellie Stamid, 9th in the pole vault. Jackson Spitzer, 12 in the boys' 3,200-meter run. Gideon Beasley from Versailles, 17th in the 110-meter hurdles, didn't make the finals. Leland Boland at 5th in the disc throw from the discus throw. Let's try that. From Versailles, Kenton's Bill Wilkinson finished 17th. Minster girls, they're pretty good at running events. Annie Hemmelgar, the junior, finished 9th in the girls' 800-meter run. Her freshman teammate, Sophia Dirksen, finished 17th. Claire Bowman, the sophomore, 6th in the 1,600-meter run. Molly Brame, the sophomore, 6th in the 100-meter hurdles. Minster finished 4th in the 4x400 relay, 1st in the 4x800. Minster boys finished 9th in the 4x800-meter relay. Marion local girls, Grace Moeller, the junior, 2nd in the 110-meter hurdles. 4th in the 300. Ava Ranley was 12th in the high jump. And the Marion local boys, they're pretty fast. 1st in the 4x400-meter relay. Pandora Gaboa, 15th in the boys' 4x800-meter relay. And Ben Burkholder, 12th in the pole vault on the boys' side. New Bremen, boys finished 16th in the 4x800 relay. Watkins had Colin Dosick, 16th in the 200-meter dash. Carson Brown, 12th in the 3,200-meter. 4x800 team finished 11th. And Noah Schuler, 9th in the shot put, just in front of Colton Plyman, who was 15th, and then 18th in the discus throw. Devil St. John's got Drew Boggs, a.k.a. The Law. He finished 1st in the high jump, 14th in the long jump. Alan East Jackson Whirling, 4th in the discus throw. Brady Thompson from Continental, 16th in the discus throw. And then last, the St. Henry girls, well represented. Carly Busher, 6th in the 300-meter hurdles. They finished 6th in the 4x100 relay, 6th in the 4x200. Ellie Fullenkamp, 2nd in the high jump. Morgan Balmer, 12th in that same event. Cole Kaiser for the boys' side, 2nd in the 100-meter dash, 3rd in the 200-meter dash. Carson Harrod at 3rd in the boys' 110-meter hurdles. And the relay team for the 4x100 finished 4th. 4x200 finished 6th. That is a look at the track and field side of things. Again, just a massive congratulations to all of those kids for getting their chance to go down and show what they can do in Columbus. When we come back, we'll talk about baseball. Mike Wiss, Kevin Phlipot, Cory Klenke, But first, Jason Brandt from Wapak when we come back. Springtime means it's time to take a swing and a drive over to Lee Kinsel Sales and Service at 650 West Irwin Road in Van Wert. At Lee Kinsel, you can find the Chevy or GMC that's right for you. Whether you're in the market for a new or pre-owned vehicle, or just looking for the area's best service and parts department, Lee Kinsel has you covered. Lee Kinsel is home of the tire price match guarantee. If you can find a better price on eligible tires, they'll match it. Lee Kinsel at 650 West Irwin Road in Van Wert or online at leekinsel.com. Chevrolet, together, let's drive. Looking at Wapak baseball with the head coach of the state-bound Wapak Redskins and Jason Brandt. And I know it's 3 times now, but that probably never gets old, hearing the state-bound Wapak Redskins.
Never. This year was, honestly, I told everybody that listens, it was more of a shock than anything. Kind of in a rebuilding year. We returned like 6 lettermen, but only 2 of them had any innings on the mound, and then a lot of guys just with minimum at bats. So definitely a good feeling, and we'll take it.
Well, and it's kind of different because obviously Grant Chiley leading a lot of what you guys do, 7-2, kind of not necessarily knowing what you're going to get from him every single night. Of, is he going to be amazing? Is he going to just be the way Grant pitches? What's everybody else going to do behind him?
Yeah, and Grant had a really, really good sophomore year where he was WBL Player of the Year. Got injured his junior year in our football playoff game against Hamilton-Baden. Was able to come back for the start of the season, but then was had like a staph infection due to his surgery, so he missed like half of our games during the season. So he didn't have a good performance because he just didn't have the opportunity as a junior. And then this year, he's been lights out from the get-go. And every outing he's been on the hill, he's been really good. Even in his 2 losses, we only gave up 0 earned runs in those 2 losses to go from there. So Grant's been really, really good. And the thing that we've been really good at, and I'm knocking on wood, is our defense has been really good. Other than probably our win against Coldwater, where it was pouring down rain, and I think both teams combined for about 20 years that day.
I've heard that story. Cory told me that same thing.
Yeah.
With those guys, and with, you have Joe Moore, who's 4-1, and you get Drew Bailey, who's had a terrific year. Was that the expected part of Drew is a guy you use as a starter, you can use as a reliever. He's got your 4 or your 5 saves, of a kind of pairing all those guys in of, okay, we don't have to put as much pressure on Grant early on.
Yeah, and I mean, Drew was our second guy that had innings on the hill last year as a sophomore. So we expected him to be our number 2 coming in. And, he's done really well as well. Joel threw a lot early. He was kind of our, we like to call it our MAC starter, because we play MAC teams on Mondays, and he was our Monday starter. So he did a really good job in that capacity. And then really the other guy that isn't mentioned is Darren Hauser, who got a couple starts later in the season, and he actually got the wins against Coldwater and St. Henry, and then got the save in the regional finals there against DeSales. He's a sophomore that has come in and done really well for us as well on the hill.
And you guys have had kind of you don't have any slouches in what you play. And I mean, you take on pretty much everybody. Perrysburg, we know they're headed to state. Jerome had a good year. And then you're just kind of getting ready for your tournament. But the one thing that always jumps out to me when I look at your tournament run is I feel like you are nomads. Like, you're displaced, because Ashland, Tiffin Columbian, St. Vincent, St. Francis, you guys have pretty much had to go all over the map for your opponents.
Yeah, I mean, our sectional final was a home game, and that was it. Both district games were played at Tiffin University, so, a good 90 minutes on a bus, if not more. And then
It's interesting you bring that up, because that playing the game has been a big thing with coaches that I've talked to this year especially, and it kind of going forward every single year. But one thing that's always mentioned is, I don't know that I have baseball kids. I have kids playing baseball. How much is it success, or what you guys have done as a program, kind of the stamp you put on it, that you get kids who are baseball kids who come in, they love the game, they consume the game, and they understand how to play the game, that maybe it makes it a little bit easier that you don't have to tell them day one or day two things?
Yeah. I mean, these kids that we have, I mean, they just want to go out and play. I joke about it because we canceled some games early because it was 30 degrees and they got mad. They wanted to play. And I'm like, you guys can stay outside, but I'm not. As I get older, I get a lot more, I guess, weaker when it comes to cold temperatures. I don't want to be out in them. And, that's one attribute that they have. But then, like you said, like a lot of them are gritty baseball guys. I don't know if a lot of them have the most true baseball knowledge, but they've all been around it long enough to understand what needs to be done. And these guys are just, they've kind of taken the bull by the horn and went with it. They play for each other. I've told people all along that I don't think I've ever had a team that cares less about their personal stats than these guys. Like, these guys could care less if they go for 3 if the team wins. They might be a little down, but they know that their opportunity is going to come in another day or another game, and they'll get another chance. And that's something that, we've been blessed with, because throughout the tournament run, all 9 guys have contributed with a big key hit or a great at bat to prolong an inning. Those are just things that you can only hope for. And that's what I love about these guys.
But is that team first thing sort of a carryover? Because you go backwards, and I mean, I know that Coach Moore does a lot of that with football of, your numbers are pretty, those are nice, but the one that we care about is the win being more than the loss. Of some of those are the same kids of just kind of understanding as a program of, oh, okay, you know what? Stats are nice, but if I hit 500 and we lose, who cares?
Yeah, I don't know. I just think our kids are that way. I think their mindset's been that way. And we don't really have any 3-sport kids, but we have, 3 or 4 football, baseball kids, and we have 3 or 4 basketball, baseball kids. And I think both those sports have been successful, and the blue collar mentality, and they just go out and work and try to do whatever it's going to take to win a game for us.
Were you asked, honestly, by the kids to be in their TikTok videos?
No. I don't know anything about those, so we're good.
I'm just saying, I saw a couple of them, and I was just curious. It was going on the bus, and I'm thinking, I wonder if he was a part of that, or if he even knew what they were asking.
Yeah, no. So I just, we stood up in the front of the bus, and I think we were more in shock than anything that, we had the opportunity to go back to state. And that's all that the coaches at the front were even talking about the whole way home. So,
well, and there are a lot of people talking about that game because there may have been a home run, there may have been a trash can, there may have been a double. That whole scenario, I mean, you've seen such a difference from when you started coaching at Wapak with the kids and with social media and with video and the way everything's kind of blown up. Were you surprised at the amount of, I don't want to say coverage, but kind of outside noise that came from whether you just hit a home run or not?
I mean, when it happened, I truly thought it was out because I was watching it the whole way. The umpire was all the way down the line. You see some grainy video. You can't really tell where it happened. But I mean, I still believe it was out. And then since it ended up being only a 1-run game, we knew that was probably going to come back into play. But that's out of our control, and we can't do anything about it. We're just happy that we are able to move on and go from there.
See, I thought it was interesting because I couldn't tell. The video wasn't clean enough, but I had 5 different people who were there that told me it was out. So I said, everybody saw it, but I think to me, my immediate thought was, okay, so that's one of the 11 runs in the game. So there are 10 other plays in that game, plus whatever happened before and after that control how that goes. It just kind of goes to prove, I've always said baseball is a funny game, but not funny, ha-ha. Crazy things happen.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, I look back at both of our state final games where we had some crazy things happen against us, and you wish it could be overturned, but the sun will still come out tomorrow, and we'll still be able to go on with our lives. So baseball, like I said, you've been around it long enough. You're going to see a lot of crazy things and have some things happen that go your way and some that don't. And I mean, that's just part of the game.
I think I've seen more things, though, this year where I have actually uttered the phrase, I don't think I've ever seen that happen before. And I'm someone who fancies myself as a baseball person. And I don't know if it's the game or the bats or the ball or the kids or what it is, but I'm almost guaranteed now every single night there will be something where I just go, I don't have anything I can akin that to.
That's probably true. I mean, I think the kids are getting, I think the players are getting so much better. The pitchers are getting so much better. And, when guys throw hard and guys maybe make contact, different things are going to happen. And you go from there. So, I mean, it does happen.
This weekend, you take on the Valley, and they've been pretty good. Last handful of years, obviously, they've kind of been building towards this point, and they've got a lot of talent on that team. When you immediately got to sit down and look at them, was there anything that immediately stood out to you of, all right, we're going to have to focus on this and figure out how to stop this or use this to our advantage?
I think first and foremost, their offense is really, really good. I think they have like 300 hits on the year, which is phenomenal. I don't know if we've ever had a team with 300 hits. Their pitching staff, I don't think they have anybody that's overpowering, but they just throw strikes, can mix in 2 to 3 pitches at any time. And those are things that as a coach, you got to be wary of just because, they might be behind in the count, but still come back on a fastball count and throw you an off-speed pitch, and you swing and roll over on one and hit a 4-hopper to second or something like that. That's something you got to worry about as a coach. I know they have a Virginia commit at shortstop that's a stud, or he's a Virginia. I guess he's not a commit yet; he's only a junior, but he's a big time player. I think they've won over 100 games the last 4 years, so they definitely get it done, both offensively and on the mound. So and like I said, I think Division III as a whole is the toughest division in baseball, because I'll just say it straight up. I think almost all of the really, really good private schools are in Division III as well. And we know what we have to compete against. And University School, without a doubt, is one of the best private schools in the area or in the state, regardless of size. And I also know Hamilton-Baden has, over 20 district titles and 4 or 5 state championships over the years. So those are 2 of the teams in the state Final Four, and I mean, they're just loaded. So we got to continue to do what we've done, and get good pitching, play good defense, and some timely hitting, and see what happens from that.
Talk about their shortstop. What immediately jumped out to me, because I'm a catcher type person, was Caden Zelenak, their catcher. He's given up some base runners. Guys have been able to take bases off him, but he's got a terrific mind for when and where guys are going to run, controlling the running game because they have almost 100 stolen bases on the year. How much does that little kind of chess match within the game stand out to you because how important the running game is?
Yeah, I saw that as well, their running game. And I think the last two teams that we've played have also had a really good running game, and they've only attempted one stolen base in 2 games against us. So I don't really know because you don't know what kind of competition they play day in and day out. And that's not a knock on anybody. It's just how does who do they play when they get their stolen bases, et cetera. But a lot of it comes back to your pitching too. How well can they hold on runners? And if they can do a good job of holding on runners or at least keeping runners off base to a minimum, that's going to cut down the running game. Or if we get a lead, it's probably going to cut down the running game. So, a lot of it depends on us defensively and pitching as to how much they'll run. And then the same goes for us, how much we will run against them, depending on, situations and things like that. I always say it's never really on the catcher. It's always on the pitcher. That way it lets the catcher off the hook a little bit. But it's always good to have a good catcher, though, as well.
I say that all the time as someone who actually caught his entire life. I put way more on the pitcher. It's always his fault.
That's right.
If that ball had been half an inch higher, I'd have gotten that guy at second. I'm telling you right now. You have a team, again, that I've seen him in different sports, and I've been around him a little bit, and they are full of a cast of characters. How do you kind of keep it light with them, or is that kind of their thing in the dugout during the games?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, some of our best teams have been characters. I'm not a big rah-rah guy in the dugout, but I know our guys are a little bit. And, as long as it's about baseball, I'm not too worried about it. Once in a while, they'll get a little out of hand, and I'll have to knock them down or something like that. But as long as they're up, and I mean, that's the thing. Like, if we have energy, it builds and it feeds each other. And a lot of times that just gets us going. And it keeps everybody loose. Even if somebody makes an out, hey, they have a little bit of energy coming back into the dugout. We're good to go. That's just me. I would say that, they've been really energized most of the year. So, I'll continue to take that and go from there.
You play in obviously one of the best leagues in Northwest Ohio, and in a lot of places, you've got guys you got 3 seniors this year. You've been able to kind of enjoy this experience with them and enjoy that run, getting prepared through the WBL, through the MAC. But what is it that you're kind of looking forward to most outside of baseball this weekend? Is it just being with the kids and kind of seeing their hard work pay off and that experience of, hey, this team is not going to be in this spot again? It's hard to get back here, but we'll never have this mix of guys in this locker room all together again like this.
Yeah, I think that's what makes it kind of cool is just, number one, we get to spend one more week practicing together. And I think the guys genuinely love being around each other. We had like an optional hitting last night, and I think 14 of them made it up there. And we have graduation parties going on. They have different things going on with family. And they still find time to come up for an hour and just enjoy each other. We have team meals every week we don't do it during the regular season just because you play about every night. But during the playoffs, we always have a team meal before our first sectional game, first district game, first regional game. So we get to have an opportunity to do it again this week. The only thing that kind of takes away from it is these kids don't get to play as much like in the summer ball, but I'm okay with that if we're still practicing to play for a state championship. So it kind of takes away from some of the kids that maybe would get a chance to play, but they're going to practice with us right now and continue to get better and go from there. I just think the enjoyment of being around each other, being around those kids, and then finally realizing that oh, wow, this is a great experience.
Well, I know that there are a lot of people probably in the 937 that are going to try to put their fingerprints on this, but I'm happy that you're going to be bringing back a big experience for the 419.
Hey, I guess you saw my tweet. I was the 937. I was the 937 for about half my life, and ever since I've been up here at Wapak, though, it's been 419, and it's only about 5 miles away. The difference in the area code, but we'll take it and enjoy it here for the WBL and the Wapak community and school and all the kids.
Well, I'm excited, and I wish you guys the absolute best of luck coming up this weekend in Akron.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's Jason Brandt, the head coach of the Wapak Redskins. More as we go along in just a couple of minutes. McSober Saloon in Coldwater at 880 East Main Street, where you can get a 3-item, 16-inch pizza every night for $11.99. And every Wednesday night, if it's wings you're craving, well, that's just $13.99.
For all you can eat.
Live entertainment every single weekend at McSober's. You can also stock up on hash browns, mini tacos, and grilled cheese and bacon cheeseburgers. If you're having a family party, a family gathering, or a graduation, give McSober's a call. They can accommodate you as well at 419-678-2602. That's McSober's in Coldwater, 880 East Main Street, Mercer County's #1 sports and entertainment bar. Coldwater baseball on tap now, 28-2 for the second-ranked Cavaliers, taking on the #1 ranked team in the state, the Waynedale Golden Bears. Cory Klenke, now it feels like maybe it's just me, that this is maybe a collision course that a lot of people have been waiting on, that you guys have kind of flip-flopped 1 and 2 all year long. Are you guys just over the moon right now about being back in the semis and excited for this matchup?
I mean, obviously, we're excited to make it to the state level. We fell 1 game short last year, losing in the regional finals, and a lot of senior boys that are on this year's team were a success last year. So it's a great opportunity to compete at the state level come Friday.
The last week has been kind of an interesting set of emotions for you guys, not only with things being rained out, kind of having to wait a couple of days, but there is always a special young man in your hearts, and in a completely just kind of, I don't even know how to describe it, a divine sort of way. You guys end up honoring Kale winning by winning 7-0 in one game, and then winning, as I heard his mom put it, 3-4 in the other game. Of just, I mean, how much does that kind of help carry you guys through when you need that extra spark?
Yeah, we're definitely talk as a team about Kale, and obviously he was a best friend to all these seniors, and a big part of success last year on this tournament run. Kale was our center for football 2023 season, and we had a kid who stepped up and played that role this past fall, and 7 of these 8 seniors played football, and were able to medal for not just themselves but for Kale, do it with a little extra during the football season, and and that's what we're hoping to be able to accomplish here in this baseball season. Now that we've put ourselves in a situation, an opportunity to be able to go out and live out this dream, but in all the adversity these boys have gone through by losing a best friend to start their senior school is quite awesome to see how and strong and how they respond to changing things.
Well, it's crazy because so many things have to happen for anybody to win any baseball game. It doesn't matter what time of year, because baseball is just that sport that lends itself to those things. But for you guys, I swear those kids are never down. They're never out of a game. They don't know the score. They don't care about the score. Didn't go real well kind of late in that game, 6th and 7th inning, couple of errors, couple of miscues. But trailing 3-2 going in, you get the walk-off. Mason hits that just absolute bomb to left. But the thing that jumped out to me, and the immediate story that a couple people told me, was kind of continuing the same line of, Buck Taylor was Cale Winning's pinch runner last year, and for him to get the first run of the game and that terrific double he had to open the game, and then for him to score, sometimes, again, it just feels like everything comes together.
Yeah, this is a very mature group, a very positive group. You know, all of the 8 seniors are great natural leaders in their own ways, and so you know they feed off of one another, gravitate towards one another when things aren't going so good for us as a team. Maybe yeah, you know, the leadership really continues to show up and shine at the moments, and yeah, everyone's playing for something a little special this spring season. Really, like I said, this whole year been playing for a little extra special. So yeah, it's cool. You know, I'm definitely a religious, so I definitely got a lot of belief that things are happening for a reason, you know, but we're putting ourselves in situations to you know, live out those things to really come full tuition and happen. And so it's pretty cool to see how these boys you know, just believe in the process and what we're doing here at continuing to do here at Coldwater, that Lou and Harley have started, and myself and the staff have, you know, just continued to build upon and hopefully program even better.
Baseball comes down to individual plays that are all strung together collectively to make moments. One big moment almost defined your guys' season the other night in a negative way, of just an oddity. Runners at first and third, and in a 1-1 game, Owen Kunk gets called for a balk. What is that scenario for you, of just that entire couple of minutes of trying to unravel all of that during that game?
Well, that was a very frustrating time of the game, because actually we were up 1-0 at that time, and because that, when he got called for that balk move, that's what gave them their first run there of the game to tie it up 1-0. And what I was so about the staff and I was because we called a play, a third to first move by Owen. So then for it to be called a balk was very frustrating, because we felt confident in exactly what Ottawa Hills was going to do at that point, and we had the right defensive play, timing for it, and everything called, and then for it to be called a balk was just kind of, you know, in the moment, very and devastating. And but like I said, you know, as coaches, we try to keep our composure for sure, and the players feed off of us. And you know, I felt like we handled it professionally, which is something that we talk about as a program, to do things in a professional manner. And I felt like that's exactly what we did in that situation.
Interesting you bring that up. I watch Jack all the time come out of the dugout. It seems like his hands are always in constant motion. He never sits down. What is it about your team's preparation or the coach's preparation? Is that a lot of that posturing, or is that you guys kind of what you do or what you've seen from opponents that you're able to just constantly be calling something out?
Yeah, that's a combination of all of those above. We are a very active group of coaches, very alert group of coaches, and that's the expectation of our players. That I mean, every batter we're going to be moving guys. If we're feeling or seeing something, and that might be through scouting, through a feel of the game, might be situational. It's just, you know, it's all of those things, like I said. So yeah, he's not just up trying to draw attention or anything. Guys are being moved and put into positions to hopefully ultimately help them be as successful as possible.
Waynedale outscored opponents by almost 200 runs this year, a team that they can flat out hit. They've got 4 straight regional titles. They've beat up on some big-time opponents like St. Edward during the course of this run. But is it different for you guys looking at this of a lot of people will get lost in that kind of stuff. But, I mean, you're Coldwater. You guys are kind of that bullet that everybody else comes after that same way. Do the kids even feed into that, or is it just, hey, we're going to play baseball this week?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, we don't talk a whole lot about seasonal stats, career stats, or whatever of the other opponents. We give every opponent that's on our schedule the attention and respect that they ultimately deserve. And obviously, like you said, Waynedale is they're another really good program. They've had great success here of recent, and so we talk about them as a whole. Not necessarily. We're not a big stat team. We don't get caught up in the stats, even our own individual stats and things like that. Honestly, I couldn't tell you any of our guys' batting averages or anything like that, but I could tell you who's seeing the ball well and hitting well and things like that right now, and maybe who's been struggling here or there, whatever. But so yeah, I mean, we're ultimately excited to compete against another great team, another great program, and I think if I were to predict the game, I think it's going to be another great game that's going to come down to the wire.
I know you are a very busy man. I'm always happy to sit down with you, but I have to ask you, when you sit down and you look at Waynedale, what is it that jumps out to you more, their pitching staff and what they've done, or their hitters for what they've done to opposing pitchers?
Again, we look at them as a whole. To get to this point, to get to the state level in baseball, sometimes teams ride a couple really good arms and they're not great hitting team. Sometimes they're more of a complete package like Waynedale is, and like we like to think that we are this year. So we feel like we faced some really good arms throughout our regular season and definitely in tournament here. And so we feel like from the hitting side for us, we feel like we've been tested and been able to answer the bell. And so but again, they got some good pitchers, like you said. From their hitters, we faced some good lineups all season long that we've been able to minimize damage, I guess you would say. We've let up our share of runs and things like that, but if we play some good defense and are able to pitch it well, it'll be a good game.
What would it mean for you to be able to put another number up on the top of Harley's Hill with a state championship?
Yeah, I mean that'd be great. We're blessed to have 7 state titles up there at the moment. With the banner, you've been to the field numerous times. There's kind of one spot on that banner that's kind of just empty that I've been looking at for since 2019. So yeah, it'd be great to ultimately come away with 2 victories this weekend and be state champs at the end of it.
Well, I'm a little bit biased, but as someone who adores your program and loves being over there in the community, I hope you guys are able to bring one home.
Yeah, we appreciate that, and we love the support that you give us, and we look forward to competing come Friday.
There's a look at Coldwater baseball with the head coach and Cory Klenke. Even more coming up in just a few. Whether you're looking for a place to party or just hang out with your friends, check out the Red Pig Inn at 1470 North Perry Street in Ottawa, a staple for barbecue since 1975 in Northwest Ohio. Check out their award-winning ribs, award-winning sauce, scratch recipes that include fish, steaks, burgers, pizza, and so much more. Entertainment nearly every single night, including the WZO Crew Zoo Crew show on Wednesdays. That's the Red Pig Inn, 1470 North Perry Street in Ottawa, 419-969-1002. Talking Minster Wildcats now as they take on the Russia Raiders for the second time this season with Mike Wiss, the head coach. And things have gone pretty well for you guys. 8 straight wins. You've outscored opponents by almost 60. You put up a couple of shutouts. If it wasn't for Mother Nature, I feel like it would be an almost perfect run.
The waiting on the regional final to get played, it was postponed twice, but we got her in, and we're happy that we did.
I'm just thinking that whole scenario was insane because even that day, coming back of you guys were originally going to play at 2, you don't play till 6. It rained all day in Bowling Green. Is that frustrating when you know you have a team that is pretty good, is a chance to play in the state semifinals of, all right, we're sitting around, we're waiting, we're an hour plus away in Minster of, are we going to get on the bus, get halfway there, and you're going to tell us to go home, or are we just going to play some baseball today?
Yeah, they gave us a 4-hour window. They let us know 4 hours ahead of time. So when we learned that the game was going to be moved to 6 o'clock, they were going to call us at 2 in order to tell us that the game's going to be on or not on, and we had planned on hitting at 2:30. So we're going to practice, or we're going to get on the bus, one of the two. They did I'm be honest with you, I know the weather was an issue, but Bowling Green did a super job up there. From the field to the announcing to the communication back and forth with the rain, it was a job well done in Bowling Green.
And that's a hard thing too, because there's so many moving parts of, okay, we've got Montpelier, not exactly close one way, and then you guys are the other way of, all right, at every point, and I got emails and updates from them too of, hey, this game is going to be this, it's going to be that. If this doesn't happen, it'll be this. And I, too, was so impressed with them. But I just can't imagine having I guess you have to make it a normalcy of being able to do that. And I don't know if maybe that's why a lot of venues that used to host maybe don't want to now.
Maybe. The spring weather is nuts, and we've learned that throughout the course of this spring. When Dusty Pester from Miller City me and said, he wished us good luck. And I said, we're on a rain delay. And he said, such is this spring. And that's the way the spring went. So I would say for the most part, kids are pretty resilient. And our kids did a super job.
Well, he would know because he went all the way to Marion Local to play 2 innings. And then it got rained out. And, hey, take any baseball you can get, I guess, at this point.
Yepper.
He's said really complimentary things about your program. I've talked to him a number of times, and one big thing kind of coming in was, hey, are they going to throw their ace against us, or are they going to save him? And I said, I don't know. But you end up getting to save Lewis kind of the way that you had to work to get to the game before he had to come in. Was there a point where you're thinking, all right, we're going to have him throw hopefully 15 pitches and get us out of this, or we're going to have an interesting conversation about tomorrow?
Yeah, when we brought Lewis in, James Niemeyer did an outstanding job in the 5th, 6th, and the start of the 7th inning. That's when we took the lead because we were losing after 4 to New Regal. And, at that point in time, you have to when you bring Lewis in, you get to 30 pitches. You go over 30, and then he's going to sit a day. You're not going to have him. So we brought him in. He had 1 out to get, and he threw 5 pitches, and it was ours.
And then he only threw 82 pitches to throw a complete game no-hitter the next day. That's
82 pitches, 59 strikes.
That's insane. Is there just a point, though, where you just kind of look at him and say, all right, you're doing something here. I'm gonna stay to myself.
Well, I still call every pitch. And I can tell you that was one of the most fun pitch called games that I've had in a while. You're right. Don't step on their toes. Keep them feeling right. And Lewis did a super job.
He's one of my favorite pitchers to watch because it feels like watching him that he has such a trust, not only in what he's being given, but in you of understanding your baseball knowledge to get him in the best situation. Has he ever shaken off a pitch and gone to something else?
He has early in the year. He did not in that game. And honestly, he did not in the district final against Delta St. John. But, I give pitchers the full right. If they don't like something that I call, if they want to shake it off and throw what they want to, I'm fine. Just don't let it be something that the opponent can get a hold of.
But if he does, then when you get back there, you make sure to point out, that was your pitch, not mine, right?
There are days when I do that. There are days that I say, good job, keep it up. Let's go, keep working.
I called a curveball. I swear I called that there.
Yep.
It looks like this team is a lot of fun for you. Being a guy who's been around it and you work so hard with, you just kind of go sport to sport all year long. How much does a team like this, it feels like, kind of keep you youthful of, they just seem to love baseball and it's an infectious thing with them?
We compete. That's a word that we talk about quite often, is the level of competition from game one of the tournament to as far as you go. Your competition level is going to keep getting better, and our level of competition has to raise. But just the will to win, the love for each other, that's all coach talk too, but it's also got to be believed by the kids. And this group right here probably fell a little bit short of what they wanted to accomplish last year in the spring, lost to a very good Marion local team in the district. But then in the summertime, we did something that we haven't done ever and won the state Acme championship. And we played over 30 summer baseball games, which is I've never done in my 30 years here. But those guys really loved it. And when this year started, this is something that was probably in their minds that could happen. There were 2 times in the season that you didn't know if this was going to happen, because you have those little bumps in the road, and you got to fight through them. And that's adversity that we as coaches talk about overcoming also.
Did it make it a little bit easier, though, in kind of the preseason stuff and going in of, you guys shared the MAC last year, you win the Acme title, you can kind of point to the board and just kind of tap of, hey, see what happens when we're all together, and you didn't have to say as much going into this year?
Right. Well, for me personally, it was very different because going from the basketball season that we just had with the girls, and that probably wasn't in everyone's mind that state semifinal run was going to occur when we lost to Columbus Grove. And the very next day, Mike, I'm at baseball practice. And I walked up and I looked at the kids and I said, I need you guys. I said, that was a hard one. And it's hard to let girls go. They're infectious to you. At least here in Minster, they are. And I looked at the seniors. Some of them are just coming off of a basketball season as well that went to the district final to Delphi St. John. And I looked at them and I said, I need you. I need this day to help me not think about a bunch of girls that just lost a state semi. And as I continued on, I said, you know what? It's different because that was something that may not have been expected, but I know what is here and what you guys or what other people might expect of you. It's 2 different seasons. And as quick as it goes, it's going to be a long one. Then we got to stay together to do it. And that's where we're at right now. And it's the second week of June and we're still playing baseball.
One, to be fair, I saw you guys play Audubon early on in the year, and I thought you were going to be a pretty good team. You might not have known it, but I could kind of see the pieces of the way the girls listened and even the way that game sort of plays out. And 2, I'm actually surprised that you didn't have a fungo bat in the car with you and that you were holding it driving back to Minster that night.
No, my fungo stays in the bag.
You might have needed it after the way that went out. But one thing I want to ask, kind of as a carryover for state this year and with the run with the girls, how much has it been awesome to you, whether you're standing in the dugout or you're standing behind the bench, of just looking around and just constantly seeing not only the Minster community, but the MAC community show out for your teams during these runs?
Yeah, it's very, it's hard to put into words sometimes. I've been pretty darn blessed being able to coach 3 sports for 25 years, and now I'm down to 2, and this is 31. And to be able to be the head coach of 2 back-to-back sports is not an easy thing. And it's not an easy thing for the assistant coaches in both of my programs. It's not an easy thing for the girls and guys that I coach. And it's not an easy thing probably for some people in the community, and especially the people that live here with me in my own home. But I've been blessed, and there's a lot that goes into it. You need a lot of great help and a lot of community support. And at this moment, we have that.
I was thinking as you were saying that, maybe it's easier if you're winning, but then that also might make it harder for those people.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Makes it harder on me sometimes too. It's an enjoyable time, and it's been a really good year of sports here in town. And like people in Minster say, it takes a village to raise a kid. And we have really good parents. They do what they can to help their kids succeed. And, for a large part of it, they let the coaches coach their kid. And that's something that I'm very appreciative of in the town of Minster.
Well, that also has to probably do with your track record, and not just as an overall record in sports, but with bringing up human beings. I think that, to me, that says a lot about you as well, about being the person that I tell everybody you are.
Well, I appreciate that comment. I've told people have asked how long I'm going to do this. Not only baseball, maybe two sports, but I said if the day would come that I would win the lottery and I would have all this money in my pocket, the one thing that I would still do is teach. I can tell you that if I would win the lottery, I wouldn't stop teaching. I would stick with that for a little bit, because I just enjoy. It's probably me, the way I'm made up, but I enjoy touching the lives of kids.
Well, if you win that lottery, I have a proposition about building a dome for baseball that I'd like to talk to you about.
I'll accept that conversation when the time comes.
Yeah, I've been working on this dome for a while, and I think I've raised about 50 cents on GoFundMe.
Excellent.
So it's not going well.
We got a good start.
Right, I got some peanuts for the guys who are going to maybe dig the hole later on. You've got a team, obviously. Kevin Phlipot's got Russia on the right track, what they've done the last handful of years, and a lot of the same kids. I mean, state after state after state after state with this group. But you're very familiar with them, one being right down the road, and two, that you saw them earlier on in the year. You're going to be a little just over 2 months from beating them 6-3 at their place in April. Is it just baseball at this point with them, or is there absolutely anything you can take away from that game to put to the game in Akron?
Number one, it is just a baseball game. I tell the kids that right before the game. I said, once you get a couple pitches out of the way and a couple chants from the fans up top, it just becomes a baseball game. Bobby Knight always made a comment years ago. He said the winning favors the team that makes the fewest mistakes. And that could be a big part of what happens. But I do know Kevin runs a great program. There are plenty of 3 and 4 year letter winners on his program, just like we have in ours. And, I don't think that there's much the same about Russia right now from the second game of the year, like you said 2 months ago. Braylon Crononier wasn't himself back then. He's obviously throwing now. They're just feeling pretty high about themselves right now, and rightly so. They're right where they believe that they could get to.
I've heard that kid's decent.
Yeah, just a little bit. He's got one of the nicest, purest, sweetest swings you'll see. I'm sure he'll do well for himself at Marshall. Coach Beals at Ohio State, when he was at Ohio State and then at Akron and now at Marshall, he got himself a good one. And I'm sure Braylon will do well there.
Well, I saw him hit a ball against Miller City about a month ago that I still don't think has landed.
Yeah, he has that ability.
A crazy thing about him to me is I saw their opener this year, Russia's against Shawnee, and he didn't play in that game, had the issue with his finger. A couple of days later, his very first at-bat of the season, he apparently roped one over the center field wall. Do you maybe... I would never offer you advice. I would take a lot of it, but do you maybe think about just sending that kid down every time he comes up?
I don't know that we'll do that, but it will if the time and the place is right. That's a definite possibility.
I think he's the one guy, and there are a lot of just terrific, amazing, smart hitters in Northwest Ohio, and you guys have a couple of them yourselves, but he's the one guy that I would just get in my head about all right, if I throw him this, it ends up 400 feet this way. If I throw him that, he's going to rope a double that way. He's just such and kind of to touch on what you talk about, he's such a smart baseball player that he just seems to have a corner on all the angles of what's going to happen.
Absolutely. He comes from a great family in Rushi. I played and coached against Spencer, or coached against him, I should say. His parents, brothers, sisters, etc., were all members of basketball when I doing basketball. Great family. Rushi's a great community, and it's going to be quite the setting. And I would bet you that if Louis Magateau would happen to be on, and if Braylon Cordonier is on, there are people from this area that are going to drive to Akron, a 3.5 hour drive, and you're going to watch a baseball game for an hour and 15 minutes.
Well, first, don't say too many nice things about Spencer, because I can't have his head being that big and that being our fault.
I understand.
Well, it really is one of my favorite people, but I think you're right. I think there are people that would sell out on that matchup of I'm going just to see that. Is that still, I mean, you have a great number 2 in Caleb Cowson. You have a great staff, obviously, with James and the rest of those guys, but is that still kind of hard for you, or have you reached the point throughout the years of, okay, I have this guy I can trust, I have that guy I can trust, I'm just going with my plan, and what happens, happens?
Yeah, every game so far through district and regional, we've started Caleb in game 1. And we're going to make the decision tonight who that person is going to be, if we're going to start Caleb or if we're going to start Lewis. And that's what we've done every week. So that's what we're going to do again tonight. We're not going to, how superstitious some people are. We're going to do that tonight and see what we come up with.
Well, you're a lifetime baseball guy. Do you still have certain superstitions like that? Maybe not that one, but things that you do?
Yeah, absolutely. I do things in a certain order, in a certain way. That's just, I guess, how I approach the game. That's how I approach basketball. That's how I approach my school day. I like to be regimented, and I don't know. It's just superstitious. I don't know. I think I've kind of advanced beyond that after all these years. And I can tell you, I have not yet been nervous in one of our baseball games, and I think we had one of the toughest districts and regionals around. I think our district and regional was more difficult than Rushi's. But what does that do? Or what does that do for us in a state semifinal game? Absolutely nothing. You're going to have to go beat a really good team.
I actually am sad that this matchup is so early. That's just me personally, but a lot of people make the idiotic comment of like, oh, that's the final. No, because there's 2 terrific teams in Newark Catholic and Calvert waiting on the other side. But this is a matchup that I just love, because if I were to throw out 2 baseball programs that I just want to see go at it in Ohio, it would be Minster and Rushi. It's fun, fundamental baseball to me.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be some tense moments. Like in every game, there's 1 or 2 innings that you got to get out of as a defense, and there's 1 or 2 innings that you have to have a big hit on offense. And we'll see where those innings are and what happens in each of those situations.
I have to ask this because I'm always fascinated by the thought process on coaches when they go out. Sometimes not every mound visit is just 100%, hey, run this play, throw this pitch. Sometimes, you have to go out and tell a joke every once in a while, right? Just to lighten the mood.
Absolutely. Yep. Not every mound visit needs to be all intense and to the point. Sometimes people just need to relax. Sometimes I'm going to bring a bottle of water out there and give my pitcher a drink of water. Have I done that before? Absolutely.
Have you ever done it to just go out to just kind of, whether it's him or whether it's you, of a big game, maybe to just kind of savor the moment?
I don't know. I let the moments for the kids. I don't go out to make an appearance. That's not who I am. But the appearance is done by kids. I usually have something to say, but sometimes the talk is short, sweet, and to the point, and sometimes it's a little bit longer. Let's relax. Here's a drink of water. Did you hear about this? Did you see this kid in the stands? To make people a little bit loose.
And they have to just walk away of, what did he just say?
They had that old guy walking away. What the hell is that?
He just told, after the game, he's like, I'm going to go up to the other kid and tell him, you're not going to believe what he just told me.
Yep.
And that's the thing I think people forget sometimes of, obviously winning is important, building character and kind of what baseball does, because, the joke is always, if you have a completely perfect day, you should probably stop because you're not going to have it. You're the greatest team in the world on day one. You're the worst team in the world the next day because that's just baseball. But it's refreshing for me to be able to hear a coach who's been around a while be able to put that in perspective of, you know what, some things we can control, some we can't.
Sure. Take away all the intense moments that'll occur in that game on Thursday. The whole thing relates to memories and relationships. They're gonna make memories from the time they get on the bus and the fire trucks lead them out of town to the hotel after the game to what goes on during the game and pregame hitting. They're going to make memories, and all those memories are going to be fostered when they get older, and they get as old as I am and even older, and they're going to remember the people that they did it with, and that's why we do high school sports.
And at the end of it, they're going to say, oh, man, he was right about some things.
Yeah, that's what happens when you get old.
That is true. I have that all the time.
I remember that all the time from my dad, too.
I hate that all the time. I'm like, why was he right about that?
I know.
Now I have one just like me. I hope you guys create amazing memories this weekend, and I wish you the absolute best of luck.
I appreciate the phone call. Thank you very much, Mike.
That's Mike Wiss, the head coach at Minster. Capture your passion with Vibe Photography. Vibe Photography specializes in senior portraits and provides fun, personalized sessions just for you. Whether documenting your sports, hobbies, or interests, Vibe Photography creates a memorable photographic experience and heirloom products to be cherished for generations. From beautiful albums to unique wall art, Vibe Photography designs keepsakes that tell your story. Visit Vibe Photography LLC or call Paula at 419-953-2445. Vibe Photography, where your passion comes to life. Other side of the spectrum, now talking to Russia baseball, 18-11 all in the year, back into the state semifinals, taking on an old rival. And Coach Kevin Phlipot, you've got a squad that I say has had a fascinating year. From when I saw you start against Shawnee earlier on, you didn't have Berlin Cordonier, to a couple of days later, he's able to come back, hits a home run in his first at bat. What has this year kind of been like for you guys? Because it doesn't seem like it's a typical Russia season.
Absolutely not. This has been season. I've never been anything like this. The proverbial roller coaster up and down. We've had some injuries. We've played very poorly at times, and it was a lot of soul searching. We didn't know how good we were. I mean, because honestly, we didn't have Braylon and Maddox Scuba, our top two, pitching for a while, injuries, and we didn't know exactly if we'd have them back. And then we didn't know. We thought we were a good team coming into the season, but we had some tough patches with going through those injuries, and we eventually somehow we got healthy, first of all. And then that kind of was a turning point in the season. And then, we finally started playing well and was able to, make this little run so far.
You had that kind of awkwardness to the middle of April where you lose it for Sales, Minster, St. Henry, and Marion Local. You come back and you guys just start putting up runs against the Shelby County League. Was it just kind of after the St. Henry Invitational that things kind of started to turn, or was there a point of, all right, we're going to get this situated. Just everybody hang in and just do your part?
That stretch we ran through the MAC was the moment we lost Maddox. So that week, it kind of threw our pitching out of whack. So we were really short of pitching there. And so we were throwing guys in games that they probably wouldn't normally been in. So we knew we were most likely going to take some thumping towards the end of that week in the St. Henry Invitational, and we did. So then from that point on, we kind of had to realign things, and that's where getting back into Shelby County League action. We had basically that's the point where Cooper Unver first became our number one and our go-to guy, and he kind of guided us through that part of the season, that rough patch, and he held things together. Without him, we wouldn't have had a chance to be in the league. I mean, we didn't win it, but we were at the very end of it. We were still right there once we got Braylon and Maddox back, but he kept us in there in a lot of the games and helped us to fight through that tough spell, and kind of led us back to where we are right now.
You guys play a tremendous schedule, and a lot of people will preface that by saying, especially for a D7, but you do go 0-4 against Mother Nature. She rains out a game I was really looking forward to. You guys are supposed to play Fort Recovery. We know that they end up being kind of terrific. Is there kind of a point where you just get tired of watching it rain and you say, find an indoor, we don't even care anymore?
It's frustrating, obviously, but that's spring baseball. That's the life you live. You know it's going to happen. So, I mean, I've been doing this for way too long to somehow not let it bother you. We talk about just controlling what's in front of you, controlling the controllable, and that's the weather. We can't control what happens there. We have to be prepared to play until we're not, until they say we're not. And, you have to be focused, and this game is so mental, and the weather aspect is it 40 degrees? Is it a 20-mile-an-hour wind? Is it raining? Is it snowing? I mean, you could face anything thrown at you, and you just got to suck it up and deal with it because the other team's got in the same situation.
You guys go into the tournament. You have 5 or 6 losses in your last 7 or 8 games. But were you looking at it of, okay, we lost to very good teams. I mean, you're close with Marion, had that heartbreaker with Loramie, the Anna game, 8 innings, Northmont game of, okay, we've learned enough about ourselves. We're getting healthy. We're finding that corner. We're going to be okay by the time that we get to the postseason next week.
No, the last 3 games of the season was kind of where I thought we were right there. The Anna game and the Northmont game, we lost both games 2-1. We had our best 2, Maddox and Braylon, pitching. So, I mean, we got the pitching we needed to win games right there. Against great opponents, obviously Northmont, a bigger school, and Anna has a tremendous offense that we were able to keep in check there. And then Oakwood, is one of those games add-on, very good school, and we were able to put up some runs. That was a different type of game. Some guys that, are not our top of the order pitching were throwing that game. We scored a bunch of runs. We scored late. We had a walk-off win at the end of the season, so that was a big confidence builder. And I just said, if we are able to combine those last 3 games, the pitching and the offense, would be able to make a decent turning run, and that's kind of what it has been. We've put up a lot of runs through their last 3 games, and I'm not expecting that much this weekend, but I'm expecting the pitching from Maddox, Braylon and Maddox. But if we can find a way the offense to score a few runs, and we'll definitely be good to go.
3 straight shutouts, Tri-County North, Mohawk, and Cedarville through your districts and your regionals. Is that kind of where you were going of those guys are coming? It's coming. And then just they're so smart. Your guys, what always impressed me is their kind of at bat composition of, are you guys calling those, or are those guys kind of going by feel of how their pitches are set up?
Calling, what do you mean?
Are you calling the pitches to the catcher and the pitcher, or are those guys kind of freelancing?
I call the pitches. I lay the foundation. I call them. And then with Braylon and Maddox, especially Braylon, I have give him the opportunity to shake it off. We talk between innings, that type of thing. A lot of times if I call an off-speed pitch, he may go to a different off-speed type thing, or, there's certain situations I'll just point to him like, hey, this is your pitch. You call what you want, what you feel. But mostly it's run through me. Yes.
A lot of attention, rightly so, will be paid to Cordon, and he deserves every single bit and more. But tell me a little bit more about the guys who lately have come on. I mean, Zeb Borchers is on a 3-game hit streak where it seems like he's destroying everything. Benjamin York's on a 3-game hit streak. Micah Gresham has been doing big things. Cooper Umberfirth, of getting everybody to continually rise their game as the season goes on.
I had a conversation with our guys and said, like, listen, we can't be standing here waiting for Braylon to win ball games for us because he's not going to. If the game's on the line, he's not going to get pitched to. That is absolutely not. So it's like some of us need to step up and come through in the clutch and not just rely on him to carry us. I mean, he can and will on the mound, but when it comes to hitting, if the base is open, they're going to take it. I mean, he's just going to go to first base, and that's happened in situations. So, the names you just named, absolutely. I mean, Cooper's been on fire lately. He's been big, and then the bottom of the order, like you said, Benjamin, and even Parker, Lloyd, Quinn, Hoying, is like we've had big innings because of those guys have been successful getting on base, grinding out bats, and be able to flip the lineup over for Braylon and the rest of the guys.
If you're on the other side, I said this to Mike West jokingly. He's never going to ask me for anything. I mean, the man's got, a million wins. But would you pitch to Braylon if you were on the other side? Because I said I'd just walk him every time and be done with it.
I'd throw fastballs right down the middle to him every time if anybody's listening.
It's a bold strategy. How many home runs does he have in his career? He said 8. He said the wind blows in Rushi a lot, so it kind of screws him over.
Yeah, it comes in from right, and it's a little more benefit to the right-handed hitters than the lefties. But Braylon is probably one of, if not the best baseball player to ever come out of Rushi. I mean, I'm biased, but I've listened to a lot of people talk, and I've seen a lot of players, and he's as good as there has ever been, and he's going to be missed. That's for sure. And he is one of the greatest kids you could be around. I mean, as many of the accolades that you could throw at it or have been thrown his way, he is one of the most humble kids you'll ever meet. I mean, he's loved by all his teammates and the opposing teams. A lot of the best kid on the other team usually dislike him, big egos and like that. He is by far from that type. He's an incredible kid. Spencer and Amber have done a wonderful job with him.
No, we don't say nice things about Spencer on the show. Mike did enough of that. I can't have his head getting any bigger.
I have to give him my hats off for that one.
Well, no, we'll just give Amber the credit.
Maybe she's behind it more than Spence. We can go with that route.
I asked, Mike a handful of things about the first time you guys met. It's going to be almost exactly 2 months from the time you guys played in April. It's a 6-3 win at your place for them. He basically said no because baseball is what it is. Is there anything you can glean from that game for this game?
Yes, but and no at the same time. I mean, you get a feel for what they do, their strategies, but yeah, that's kind of, you don't have to play a game to know what a Mike Wiss team's going to do, and he's probably the same thing. He knows, the philosophy that we take and that we approach. So every day's different because of who's throwing. We're not going to see the same pitcher. They're not either. I mean, I guess we could, but it's nice to know a little bit of familiarity with some of the guys and where their strengths are. But no, I don't play too much into what happened. It's been that far away, and everybody's, you're just playing a different brand of baseball as you, beginning of the season, you're still trying to feel out who you are, what your strengths are, and try to work through those kind of issues, and just hopefully you get to where we are today.
Well, and kind of to go back to what you said too, I would think it would be harder for Mike to glean something out of it because you talked about having Maddox and having Braylon being injured and your guys not really maybe being in spots that they would have been that game versus this game.
Right. There's that aspect that, yeah, we are probably more of a different team than they are. I would say. I don't know how many different guys are playing in different positions or whatnot, but we definitely, I would say, have come the farthest or have changed more than what they have. That's not necessarily a good thing, but, you know.
I have had this conversation actually with a couple of people before Mike brought up a point of there are probably a ton of people that if they knew today that matchup was going to be Braylon Cordonier and it was going to be at Louis Magateau, that they would probably just go watch that game just because of it. Now, I don't know anything about who's starting. I didn't ask you. I didn't ask him. He said he doesn't know who it is. I'll make that decision today or tomorrow as we talk. But with that matchup, I mean, can you kind of feel that of that's what people are anticipating, whether it happens or not?
I mean, Louis Magateau is just named Pitcher of the Year for D7, so I'd be shocked if he would not be starting because I know he's not overlooking us at all. But he does have some incredible arms, so he does have options. So, you know, we'll just kind of wait and see. We'll prepare for – we saw their number 2 is the one who threw against us.
Caleb Kaus threw in that game.
Yeah, so we do have that going for us. And is it the Niemeyer kid starting to pitch a little bit now too?
Yeah, he threw a gem the other night.
So, you know, they have options, and I don't know what his strategy was over the weekend, but he threw a handful of guys. Was it the regional semis? And we're able to get through that, and then obviously Magateau threw a no-hit game as well. So, yeah, he can do whatever he wants.
I was thinking about this the other day. You guys met in 2017 for the D4 title down in Columbus. It ends in a walk-off. But I was thinking about the seniors on both teams, how they would have been like fourth graders in that game. I'm sure that they were all there. I've just got to kind of imagine that that's going to be more of a community thing. You guys are hyper-focused on this matchup and making new memories.
Yeah, I recall somebody asked that. I remember overhearing Braylon on being interviewed or something, and he mentioned, yes, fourth grade. And they were, and Benjamin York as well. It's like he was hoping it was going to be Minster, just so we could, win it for those guys in 2017 for a little payback type thing, you know, because those guys remember that. And you know, we all, the baseball community, we stick together, stay in touch, and, you know, they definitely want to do it for those guys. I mean, like you said, it was a walk-off. It was a painful loss, and we were so close. So, you know, I give a lot of shout-outs in 22 to those guys because they paved the way for this. You know, they opened the door for us to see that getting the States, you know, is an achievable accomplishment and something that can be done. And, you know, from 2017 on is kind of where the success of our program began.
You guys are there. Coldwater's there. Minster's there. Wapak's there. What does that say to the state about baseball and just how good it is in our area?
I mean, it's quality baseball around here. I mean, obviously that's a lot of MAC schools you just mentioned, and you know the Shelby County can hold its own with us, Laramie and Anna, consistently playing at a high level. It's good to know that certain areas still respect the game enough. The kids still get after it. The dads still get out there, and they're able to run the little programs for the little kids and to be able to develop things, and that they still have interest and the love for it once they get up to high school.
Going through this week, the last couple of weeks have been screwed up. The finals and the semifinals are later than they've ever been. You're trying to pack so much into a 2.5 month span now. Have you been able to just kind of sit back and either for you to enjoy the ride or to see how the kids are enjoying it? It kind of makes you enjoyed it a little bit more?
Not particularly. I try to let them, enjoy this. There's certain aspects, but it's flown by so fast just for the lack of no preseason. Obviously, with the success the basketball team has past few years, that we just absolutely get thrown into this and just say, you just start, have at it, and hopefully we can catch up. Is what it feels like. We're always running behind or trying to catch up to everything else, and and the next thing you know, you're 3 weeks in. It's you got the tournament draws, and then the tournament's starting, and it just feels like a couple weeks ago we just got done with basketball. So it's a whirlwind. It really is, how fast and how short this season can really be, especially when you don't have the preseason and not having anybody, a baseball team for the entire month of February, and nothing working out in the gym, and not going through those instructional practices things. And so it just feels like this thing just flies by so fast once it gets started.
It probably is nice to eventually be able to get outside and not be just hitting balls off a wall to yourself. There's actually someone there fielding them.
It is. I mean, we got to. I get to know my JV guys. That's what's there, and because once the season starts, we go our separate ways for the most part, and you don't get a feel for what they can and can't do. So I get to know them and and be in charge of them for that little bit, but. Then once you're around a bunch of freshmen long enough, you realize that you really miss your varsity team.
Don't worry, I won't tell him that you said that. That's hilarious, though. Big thing this weekend. Obviously, the teams that I mentioned are all big in baseball, big in community support. Is it just going to be awesome to you, or is it just to me to think about a couple of days ahead of this? I know all of Rushie's going to be there. There'll be one lady who maybe will watch the whole town, but all of Minster will be there. You'll have the MAC there. You'll have the Shelby County League there. You'll have everybody there watching to just look around and go, the kids deserve this for as hard as they work to have this many people here cheering them on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's impressive to see how many people are willing to make that 3.5 hour drive. To come watch you play a baseball game. It's very humbling, and absolutely kids deserve it. The community does a lot for them, supporting them, little meals and little whatever to try to make this as big as a moment as it is. And it's fun to see the community come together. And yeah, baseball's not the most doesn't draw big crowds because early on, but as the weather warms up, people start coming out, and the tournament crowds get bigger and bigger every game. So it's a lot of fun. And then I enjoy how these tiny little towns are the ones that pack the stadium the most. The D1s, D2s, there's hardly anybody there because they just don't have the community support and that the Rushies, the Minsters, Coldwaters have, and they'll show up for sure on this weekend.
Well, I'm excited. Again, two of my favorite coaches, two programs I love covering. I can't say thank you enough for all the help and all the good things, and good luck this weekend.
No, I appreciate it. I do. I always enjoy talking with you. So, anytime you holler at me, I definitely enjoy getting to talk to you, and always love talking baseball.
That's a look at Rushi. We've got some more all the way. Couple of minutes. It's coming up.
This summer, come alive at a live music festival, July 17th through 19th at beautiful Atwood Lake in Ohio. More than 30 bands during 3 days.
I got stolen by the grave robber.
Including Crowder, Chris Tomlin, Switchfoot, Ann Wilson, Lecrae, and more. Camping, worship, swimming, and unforgettable moments all in one incredible weekend. Get your tickets now at alive.org. That's alive.org.
Thank you to Mike Wiss, Kevin Phlipot, Cory Klenke, and Jason Brandt for coming on and talking about their respective matchups coming up this weekend. Again, you can hear their 4 games or their 3 games, potentially 6, on at K94. I'm excited to be able to do that. There are so many great teams and so many great players, so many great stories to tell this weekend. I'm actually really excited because Thursday is something a little bit special to me. It's the first time that I'm taking my daughter, she's 4, to the state tournament. She got a credential and everything. We're going to hang out and call some baseball and see what happens. Tony Quach will be there. Chase Detro will be there too. He's calling the game with me, but a lot of things. Be sure to check that out. Thursday at 4, Friday at 1 and 4, and then potentially Saturday at 10, 1, and 4. That's what I have for this week. Thanks so much for stopping by. Hopefully you enjoyed it. You can hit me up on Twitter at Michael Hearn at PBP. But have a great night and an even better tomorrow.
We hope you've enjoyed this edition of Around the Hearn. Come back next week for more local stories from the NWO. But until then, be sure to follow us on Twitter at Michael Hearn PBP for more great area content.